Hey guys, so welcome back. Or I should say welcome to 1968. We have here on the workbench a Sylvania transistor radio, AM/FM. It's a model RM-90K. Like I say, it's from 1968. My brother found this for me to work on. Nice of him to do that. Let me go through it and show it to you a little bit. I think, as being somebody who was around in 1968, I'll tell you that this was probably considered a really nice AM/FM radio to have. The way that the finish is done was pretty typical of the time for nicer stuff. You see I'm having to hold my hand here because the back of it wasn't attached. And we'll get through and take a look at this. This has on the back panel, it has the model number, barely readable here. If I can tell you that's what it says. We've got a basic layout that shows where the different transistors are and what they are. SC3002, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 of them that are that type. I hope they're good. I think those are silicon. And we got a big tuning condenser. So yeah, let's take a look at it. Well, there's the model number right there. Solid state. Cautious. Hazardous energy. What's inside this thing? Okay, let's take a look at what we have. Now, the reason you don't see anything on the outside is that it was actually in pieces when he said he got it, and he shoved the chassis into the box. So let's take a look at what this has going. Okay. Well, let's see what we have here. Is this the faceplate? Yeah, we got a trim piece. All right. Speaker on the inside. Looks so far so good. Looks like we got what we need. And we'll go on here, I guess. Good. All right, so we have here on the label, it's easier to handle now. Get a closer look at this. So we got AM/FM, automatic frequency control. That's good to have. On and loudness, bass and treble, and it's AM/FM band. Okay. The case is okay. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. In terms of the case, I don't think. I'll just clean it up and I think it'll be fine. All right, let's take a look at the chassis. I had not plugged this in. I don't know anything about its condition at all. But my brother talked to the guy he got it from, and he said that he had done some work on it, I believe, but couldn't really tell him anything, or I'm not sure what we know about it. So let's take a look-see here. All right, so we've got a 4-gang tuning condenser. We've got a ferrite antenna. We've got a power transformer. We've got a couple of output transistors. I'm not sure that's factory with the way they got the heatsink compound on there, but it might be. The caps have been redone. I can see that there's been kind of a repair there, so I think that capacitor's been replaced. Looks like we got some green stuff on the contactors in here, so we'll just what do you want to do? You want to go ahead and see about putting power to it and just see how it reacts, watch the current? I think we can do that. We'll go on the other side. I don't really see too much. That's a problem. So yeah, let me take a look at what the wires go where to make sure what we got. And then we'll see about putting some power to it and see how it behaves. Let me sit down and look through this. By the way, though, I was able to locate the SAMs for this, so I do have here's what it looks like new. And we can take a look. We start going through here and find we have problems. I've got voltages of what comes out of the power supply, so let's just see how it behaves. And they'll see whether we got to resort to this. All right, let me get some stuff set up and we'll bring you back. So let me get you in frame here. So as we get to looking around at this thing, let's take a look at some of the basic things first. Let's screw this around and take a look at it. Okay, so the tuning mechanism is working. The dial cord is still there. It's got a nice little flywheel on there. It gives it a nice feel. This is the band selector switch. Let's say that the arrow is pointing the wrong way on that. This is the Okay, that's the on-off volume, and this is the bass and treble, and they're very stiff to turn, so I'm not going to overdo it. I'll put some cleaner and lubrication on these, and we'll see if we get those to loosen up. So I'll get that done, add it to the list here. Okay, so the type of connections we've got here is we've got a power lead. This just fell off a few minutes ago. So we've got a power lead with all kinds of homemade electrical tape connections everywhere. And let's see, we've got a back panel here. It says FM, external and internal. I guess it means antenna. Yeah, 300 ohm antenna goes here, I guess. You'd have you know, your twin lead. It's got a remote speaker and a tape out. That's interesting. Okay, so I need to identify what we've got going where for these other plugs. We know that we've got two leads that need to go into the cabinet for the speaker. Need to figure out which ones those are. And we've got, how many other ones? We've got a total of 4 spade connectors. We need to find out what their home is. So let me start trying to find out what goes where, and I'll get these labeled. I'm going to use the schematic to help me out. Basically what I want to do is, I guess I need to find out where the extra ones go. I mean, I've only got, looks like a need for 2 of them to go to the chassis, to the cabinet for the speaker. Let me see what I can find out for these other ones. Also, I want to track down this so I can identify which one of these goes where. I've got my other meter set up here. I was looking at the power line. So I was starting here. When the tape fell off, it kind of got my attention. And I was also noticing that one of its lines runs over to this panel over here. It goes to internal antenna. So I don't really know what that's about. We'll see. But anyway, I wanted to see which one of these goes where. So if I look at the schematic here of where the power comes in, let's see if I can find it. Okay. Right, so it comes up over here. There's a resistor to chassis. So whether this is a hot chassis or not, it does have a resistor there. There's a capacitor here. We need to make sure it doesn't go short, so we'll have to make that one a Y2. My gosh, that's a 0.01, 1.4 K volt DC capacitor. So I guess that's about making sure you got something that'll handle the capacity and it doesn't short. I think we put a Y2 there. We don't need to go to 1.4 kilovolts. Don't you agree? All right, so let's see, what else does it have? It has a transformer. We've got a couple of rectifiers in here. We've got a dial lamp. And then the power supply's got these outputs. We'll see about checking those once we start to get into this. Let me see where these lines go, and then I'll bring you back. I'm not going to bore you with all that, but I'm going to track this one down. It looks like here, one of them I can identify which goes to the, to the switch. So let me identify that one, and then I'll know where the other one goes. And then maybe what I'll do is check to make sure this coil's okay. But let me find that first. So I've got this set up in, I think. Okay. So if I go to the loudness control, the switch, okay, the switch is on, so it won't matter which terminal I go to because it should be connected. Go to one of these. I got a lot of that green corrosion in here. And let's go to these 2 plugs here. Okay, I got a connection there. They're both beeping. I guess because it's going through the transformer. Let me switch to ohms. One of them should be pretty much a short, and the other one will have the resistance of the coil. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if we can get where you can see. Back up. Okay. That's where you can see it this time. All right. Are these probes okay? Let me get another meter. Hold on. All right. Ohmage. Okay. Are we working? Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go to either one of these, and the white one. 60 ohms. The green one, I think I saw really low. Hold on a second. It's got a bunch of that black tape goo on here. Come on, let's see what we get here. All right, how about this? Good. Okay, so the green one goes to the switch, and the white one goes to the other side of the power, the transformer. Okay, good. All right, so we know which one of these goes where. The green goes through to here, and I just checked the resistance of the coil, the DC resistance, and it says here 65 ohms. So I think we've verified the primary is okay. All right, I'm going to assume the transformer is okay. Let me go back to try to find out where these cords go, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I think I've got this wired up correctly with these external wires. I had to go through and do some diagnostics, not diagnostics, but some figuring out with the schematic and continuity to find out what went where. It's kind of interesting. There's of course a capacitor up here. It's not non-polarized. It's a polarized capacitor. That's for isolation. And we've got a lead going to there, but afterwards there's another lead that comes back from it. And then you've got a lead that goes over to the negative side of that. There's a couple of other leads that are here that go to the back panel here for the external speaker. I'm just going to leave them disconnected. But what they do is they go up and they plug into these extra terminals that are in here for these locations. So I'm going to leave them out for now. I don't think we need it. I think we're ready to go on the rest of these. So let's just put some power to it. We'll see how it goes. I've got a meter set up over here to watch for the current. The schematic here shows that the current was at 117 volts. Wants to be, was it 75 milliamps? Let me get my eyes on. Hang on. Yeah, that says 73 milliamps right here. All right, so I've got my meter set up over here for the milliamp scale, AC, and we'll just kind of keep an eye on that while we're bringing the voltage up. I'll be able to watch the voltage over here on my voltage meter. Put it here, so we should be able to go to about 117 on that. I want to bring you up so you can see a little better and get less glare. I just wanted to let you see what was connected back in here. The thing that was kind of interesting, we had, if you look here, these little chevrons show you where there's a lead connection. It's a little misleading. There's another one here, but this one goes back to the ground of the chassis. And then this one, as you can see, is there's two that go to the back side of the capacitor, and then one going on the front side. The other thing that's kind of a bit annoying is that these Q designations for these output transistors I was using to identify which one goes to here, these Q numbers that Sam's is using do not match the Q numbers that are screen printed on the bottom of the board. So that's kind of annoying. Anyway, let me get you adjusted a little bit higher, and we'll start the power up. Okay, so we're ready to go to first power up. Don't try this at home. I think this might even be a hot chassis in terms of touching some of these kinds of things here, but it's got a resistor, but still it's not, this thing is quite old. But what I do in the back is an isolation transformer. I've got a dim bulb in here. I've put a 40 watt light bulb in there, which will still allow about 320 milliamps of current to go through. But if it's got a dead short, hopefully I'll see that start to glow brightly, and that'll stop me some. But I will be able to watch the current as I'm going here, and I'll be watching the voltage here. So make sure I've got the power switch on, and I do. I don't know what band I'm in. Let's see. I'll just put it far left, if I remember right, was AM. This most likely make noise. All right, let's just see what we get. All right, I'll put power's all the way down on the variac. Get sure we can kind of see what I'm doing with my hand over here. Here, okay, we're ready to go to power. Here it comes. Voltage here. This current here is a 1 amp full scale. We won't be able to see much on that. That's why I have this in here. All right, so power on, and here we go. Got current starting to go. These are in milliamps. So there's 30 volts, 40 volts, 50 volts. I hear noise. 60 volts, 70 volts. Let me turn it down. 80 volts. 90 volts. 100 volts. And we're expecting 73 or so. It's 110 volts. 117. For about 60 milliamps. That's not bad. Okay, let's just see if we get any reception here. This would be directional. All right, we got some reception. That's good. It's very weak. Okay, you can see what we're doing here a little better. Oh, after all these years, that's the first thing that plays we understand.
What Ray Reynolds can do for you. I'm talking about protecting your family. One of the most trusted credit bureaus.
Sắp tới, chỉ 10 ngày trước lễ nhậm chức.
Okay, good. That was AM. It probably could be some help, but we'll see. Let me switch over to FM. I'm going to go all the way to AFC, just to make it a little easier on us. I don't have an antenna hooked up. Let me hook up an antenna here. I'm getting noise. Okay, let's see what we get. That was really sharp. Let me bring it back.
9614 para tu consulta gratis de
You can really tell the help of an AFC circuit. By the way, I'll make a comment about the last video I did with that Zenith AM/FM from 1949. It was a nightmare trying to get that video out. I had to go back and edit it and re-render it and then re-upload it and have it go through its copyright checks several times. It was banned in several countries the first time I put it through, and it kept hitting things that it hadn't hit before, and it was just kind of, I'm sorry, I wish I could play you music, but I just can't. It's just too much trouble.
El tema migratorio está pasando por procesos de cambio e incertidumbre.
For a recent mover, they've got a plan just for you. And
Every reason you take like cookies, it's like that ain't the work player. Y'all gotta go back in and rewrite that. It's bad as word. Let's get it.
he's gonna be in town, and you know we are there at Rowdy's in Webster. But right now, Post Malone, Luke Combs, song number 2 on the Houston Hot 8 at 8. This dynamic duo, and hopefully one or both of them are going to be at the rodeo this year. We're really hoping that you ought to hear on that.
I need to clean these controls. They're not noisy, but they're very hard to turn. I can see the dial light is burned out.
It is one of the most diverse districts in the
Add that to the
country,
list.
and I'm honored to serve the population.
Okay, I'm going to switch out of AFC and we'll see how it does.
Will open even wider on the property.
Just have have to kind of tune it in.
African Americans. Someone was an ally.
Of course, AFC helps prevent you from having the drift, but I think it also helps you tune in.
But enemies we love. Sherman Arthur Strong.
Okay, I think I've heard enough. I think that the FM sounds excellent on this. I think the AM maybe needs to have a little bit of look at it a little bit. It could be also that I just need to get this to where I can tune it, turn it, because it is directional for the AM. And I know that the dial light bulb in here is not on, so I'll see if we can replace the dial light. I think what I might do is maybe look at doing a AM alignment. I'm not going to touch the FM. I think it sounds perfect. I'm not going to mess with it. Maybe I may check the AM alignment. It was nice to hear that I didn't have any silver mica disease in these IF cans. Other than that, I think this thing might be a pretty, pretty simple repair. So anyway, let me get this set up to the next stage, and then we'll see what we get. I'll see if I got that bulb. Okay, so I got this mounted where I got the whole thing on the ability to rotate it, so I can turn the antenna, and it does make a difference. As you expect. I still think AM is weak.
And get my face into that and fell under it and started crawling and everyone was shoving.
Okay, so one of the things I've been doing is turn this down. So I've been trying to take a closer look at some of these things. One of the things I noticed is this tape that's on the ferrite antenna. I got to worrying that maybe this thing had broken and somebody had taped it back on there. I don't think so. It feels sturdy, and I looked at a picture of this in the SAMs, and it looks like it's got tape on it in the SAMs. So I'm going to assume it's okay. The other thing I've been looking at is, as I mentioned it earlier, is on the power line right here. I was looking at what lines went where. If you can see it, there's this one line that goes, let me turn it off. There's this one line that goes to the front, not to the front, but to the power line connection right here. Okay, and it's this line that can either look green or gray depending on how it's faded, which I believe is the one that goes to the power switch. Okay. But I've got this tape on here, which looks kind of homemade, and it goes to this back panel. I've labeled it now. It says internal, because it has to do with the antenna connection here. And there's a sliding connection plate, what do you want to call it, jumper plate, that you can undo this and cause that to disconnect, right? And looking at this, the way this is if you want to go to using an external antenna, you would use like a dipole twin lead on here to go to these two. If you want to use the internal antenna, then it has you connect this one lead to this lead here that we're trying to understand. Okay, and I think I know what it is, but I'm going to take a look at it. We may have to open it up to see what it is for sure, but I think I know what it is. Let's get this reconnected. So what I'm going to do is check to see if I have any electrical continuity between this lead here and this lead here. If you can see that. So that's kind of a homemade looking tape job. Okay, so what I'm going to do is check continuity between that and this lead here, which is going to this black terminal I've got on here from my cheater. Let's get that on there. Okay, and check ohms here, make sure that works. You can't see it. Let me get this where you can see maybe a little better. Hold on. There you go. Okay, so yep. Okay. So what I want to do now is check to see what's going on between that point and here. Yeah, there's no electrical connection there between those. I believe that that's a gimmick. I think that this lead here goes along and twists around that lead which goes to the power line. And so what it's doing is it's picking up FM frequency off of the power line, capacitively coupled, wrapping around that line, and then it comes up to here and provides it at this back panel. So then, if you want to use an external antenna, you would hook up to these two from here to here. You would disconnect this strap. But if you didn't want to do that, what you could do is, if you wanted to use this so-called internal antenna, is you'd hook this up across each other. And what that does is hooks up that gimmick to one of the leads here, jumps across to this lead here, and then that goes into the tuning system. That's not part of the schematic in the SAMs, but I'm pretty certain that's how that works. Okay, so I'm going to assume that's a gimmick. I'm going to move on. Okay, I looked for a replacement bulb. I don't seem to have that 159. I think that a 555 will work in there. I do have that, but I went ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and get one. And it'll be here before too long. So anyway, I can move on before dealing with that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go back to talking about the AM reception on this. I think FM is very good, but AM is not particularly good. Did I say that right? FM is good, but AM is not very good. I was able to pick up very lightly a station in Fort Worth, which is one of the reasons I think this is, I'm just north and, I'm out of town from Houston. I'm out a long way. So going to Fort Worth, I was able to pick up that station very lightly in the distance. So that's another reason I think the ferrite antenna is okay. But I think there's a problem with the alignment on this. I know that somebody came in and did some repair work. They replaced this big filter capacitor, 1000 mic capacitor. There's another capacitor down in here that I believe, I can't see it, but I believe it's the wrong value, and it looks like it's poking out the ends. I probably will replace that guy down in there. Barely see it. It's a bluish color right down in there. It's supposed to be a 6. It's a 47, and like I said, it doesn't look healthy. But I'm in diagnosis right now, so I want to see if that's a problem with what's going on with the AM. Is maybe it's just got an alignment issue. So what I want to do is go ahead and get the power and everything back on, and bring this back up and check out some things with the frequency generator. So get the power up, 117 volts. We're at 58 milliamps. Okay. So you're on AM, right? Yep. I'm just not picking up anything right now.
Anything and as terrifying as possible when you think about the images that you get.
So I'm able to.
Because you're talking about people, James Wood.
Beginning to pick up something there, but I think that's really weak. So what I want to do is check to see how the alignment's working on this. So turn the volume down. So let me back you up and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Those of you who watch my other videos know what I'm going to do next. So what I'm going to do is come up here and turn on my frequency generator for AM. And let's get this set for the IF frequency, which is 455. Okay, 455 kilohertz. All right, this is 455.2. All right, so I'm going to turn on oscillation, and it's not getting through. Turn the level up high. Oops, I'm not seeing what I'm looking at. Sorry. If I turn the volume back up. Yeah, so I'm not hearing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what the IF frequency is set at. Now this is not reading correctly right now because I'm going through oscillation. I'm modulating it. tone there. At 540 kilohertz. Now let's see if there's somewhere else. I mean, this should be just blasting through this radio right now. So we're not getting the IF frequency through at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this thing warm up. It says in the SAMs let it warm up a bit. I'm going to let it warm up and I'll come back in a few minutes and we'll see if this is doing anything different. So I'm going to take a quick jump and you'll just see it overlay. Alright, so it's been about 30 minutes. It's been about 30 minutes or so, and let's just bring it all the way. Let's see. We're supposed to have it all the way open. Yeah, fully gang fully open, so we'll get it all the way opened up. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. Doing the tuning gang here, fully open. That's it right there. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to go back and try to do it a minute ago and say, well, 30 minutes ago. Okay, I got this at 455 kilohertz. That's close enough. Okay, so here's my loop, and I'm going to cut on the modulation, and we'll see if we're getting anything through. Okay, good, we're hearing it. Very weakly. I've got this turned up all the way. And I'm right on there. I mean, this ought to be blasting through there. I'm going to see if we're mistuned here a little bit. Getting louder. Getting louder. Let me see if I can find the peak here. I think we got two peaks that are messed up. That one, what I'm hearing there, what does that say? 440 kilohertz. The other one is at 490. Let's see if we can get this thing tuned in. So we get this back to 455. Okay, 455. Let's see if we can get this tuned in a little closer here. So what I'm going to do is turn the signal down low. I turn the volume up a little bit. I still want to be able to hear it through the noise floor. Okay. So I believe it is this transformer and this transformer. Let me double check. Let's see. I don't think we're going to do FM on this. So let's see. We're going to do, yeah, we're at 455, fully open. We're just listening to it. We're going to go for maximum A1, 2, 3, and 4. And they are located, let's see, A1, A2, A3, and A4. So those are on these two cans. So this is this right here is our AM strip. And I believe it's the kind that you go down, there's two slugs you can get to from the top. Alright. I'm going to start with the one that's closest to the detector, which I guess is this way. Let's start here. Okay, we're getting differences. I'm going to not turn one all the way. Let me just do a little bit on each one. I'm going to turn the signal down. turn the volume down for you guys. You gotta hear it. Okay, let's try this one. See how we're doing.
Đó là điều may mắn mà mình có tin vào để mình không có
Most of my stations are down here.
I have to say that. We have seen. He's certainly the one superstar of the movie.
A lot of interference in this shop. I wouldn't say it's recording, receiving very well at all. Is it?
Help protect yourself online. Avoid sharing too much on social media. Don't put all that out there. Use unique passwords on your accounts.
एकदम अतरंगी तरीके mình là tôi không bao giờ tôi tin gì.
Let's see if I get the same behavior I was seeing earlier. Okay, so at 455, right? Yeah, 455. Modulation is on. Turn down really low. See if I'm getting it stronger somewhere else. Back you up a little bit and see what I'm doing here. Okay, I'm not getting that other signal I was getting down below. That's the one I tuned in. Okay, I got them aligned now. And there. 457, 455. That's about right. I'm going to keep messing with this a little bit and see if I can get it tuned in a little tighter, but I should be receiving AM better than that. That does make me wonder if the antenna's got a problem. I'll bring it back in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing that alignment, but I think I've done it enough. I think I've got some other problem. We'll see. Okay, I went back through that again. I don't think it made much difference. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at maybe the antenna needs to be tuned. I'm going to skip the oscillator adjustment because it doesn't have the dial, you know, on the, you know, I can't see it unless it's in here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump ahead and just see if I can tune the antenna a little bit and see if it get better, you know, picking up from this when I've got modulation on. So I've got modulation on. I know this isn't the right way to do it, but let me just see if I can get some difference in the antenna tuning. Let's see, the antenna is 8 and 9. So 8 and 9 are... Oh, that's the, no, I want 6 and 7. That was the patterns. Right. 6 and 7 are here and here. Let me see if I get a change to see if somebody got in there and twizzled on those a little bit. In the right way to do this, but I'm just trying to see if this antenna was way out. Let's just see if we get any kind of better reception here. It's not receiving well on AM, I don't think.
Ví dụ là sao Long dám xử, tao phải kêu trả là xử tao khi mà gặp quá nhiều ở ngoài đường.
That came in stronger.
Mình không có muốn là sao mình đi ra mình bất ngờ.
All the interference in the shop. I'm definitely picking up stations now. I wasn't getting earlier.
To be, you know, congratulated because frequently about protecting their constituents, thing that they found activity at all of it.
People have lost, not just the rich people, this part of...
Okay, I think we got the alignment much better. I'm going to look at a few other things, but maybe what I need to do is I'll go back and listen, you know, maybe, I don't know, should I do the alignment anymore? I don't think so. I think that, I don't know, let me think about it some. I'm thinking about wanting to change that capacitor out that's down there, but I'm not sure what I'm hearing. I hear a lot of interference. Maybe what I'll do is go around the shop. I'll turn the camera off for a bit, go around the shop and see if we can find out what's making all the noise and cut that off and then come back. So I'll go hunt for that and I'll come back and let you know what I find out. But it's strange. I have this same setup for mini radios, and I don't remember having this much interference, so we'll just see. I'll bring you right back.
Has reduced dead tree reduction in dead tree.
Sounds like I found it. It's my overhead lights. Let's see if my new lights are interfering. Nope. Good. It's my overhead fluorescence. Turning on the different other lights in the shop. Okay, it doesn't like that. How about this one? Okay. Alright. That eliminated a lot of the racket. I may repeat the alignment here. Now they can hear it better, but...
Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Problem gambling, call 888.
So that's just the way the sport could go. I do think, I mean, what's the quarterfinals?
Fires in California. I mean, it's not new.
A lot of men prior to like 5 years ago. So there's a lot of man-made government.
Isn't it amazing the difference those lights make?
Exacerbating this.
I've done so many radios with those things on, and it hasn't irked any of those radios, but it does this one. That's interesting. I guess there's a certain amount of that that's getting into the circuit, and maybe the transistors don't like that frequency.
And getting rid of the stuff
whereas vacuum tubes don't care.
that's hindered. Guess what? It's the First Nation.
I'm just speculating. You guys know, let me know.
We have completely ignored how they protected.
To be the spokesman for the PTSD Foundation of America.
Okay, I think we found the problem. I may go back through and touch up the alignment again, not make you watch it again, but I think we got it. I think that somebody went in here and they did some capacitor work. I want to change out of the capacitor, and I think they twizzled the alignments. I think they messed with the antenna tuning as well. I don't think they touched the FM. So if I recall, my brother said he talked to the fellow that he was working on radios, and he had this one, and he had a large cabinet radio. And I wasn't interested in what he had and what he wanted for it, and I have some others I got to work on, so I didn't really have a place for that. But this one he'd worked on. It was all in pieces, and he had made some changes, but we don't know really what else he did. And so he may have been, following along with some AM, radio videos, who knows, and tried to mess with these and maybe didn't have the right equipment. I don't know, I'm speculating. But I think the alignment was definitely out. Okay, so before I do anything else, I want to go in and I want to address this capacitor right here. You can see it's bulging out on that end. This was the large filter capacitor that changed. I did a quick check with the capacitor wizard. It has a very low ESR. In fact, I checked it with an ohm meter just to make sure it wasn't a short, and it is not. So that capacitor is still good. I'm going to check this one, and there's another one, a couple here, one there, and there's another one here. There's a few others in here. I was getting ready to set up for this shot, and I thought, well, should I show it this way or should I show it the other way? But anyway, what I wanted to show you about this is, you see this one is bulged out, and per the schematic, this is supposed to be a 5 microfarad. And I know you can't see it from where you're sitting, but it is I've got a, where is it? There it is. It's a 47 that's in there. And yeah, I'm going to replace that. But I was going to go check to see what its ESR was. Let me back you up and show you what's on the other side of that. Can you see that? So somebody went there and tacked this little jewel right across that electrolytic on the other side. So I wanted to get this off, and then we'll replace that electrolytic, and then I'll go check the other ones and see if they're okay. Yeah, it's not factory. So as I've been going around checking ESR on these caps, they all seem to be okay. I've got one I'm going to check against a chart to see if it's okay. It's 7 ohms. I think that's too high. That's on the power supply side for 16 ohms, and that is, let's see, a C3 on the SAMs. No, it's not. it's C2 on the SAMs, which is located, is this guy back here, that guy right there, but this one here, he's standing up there in the shadow. He tested out okay on the ESR meter. In fact, he tested too good. So yeah, can you see him now? He's right in here. Yeah, there you can see him now. That guy right in there. So let's see how he checks. You can see what I'm doing here. Let's see, can I just do that? Yep, that's a short. That cap is a short. See there? Yep, that cap is completely shorted out. So I'm going to place that one, and I'm going to check to see if this one over here is. I probably need to change this one too. I think it's too high. All right, I got to do that one. I got to do that one. I got to do this one down here that's laying down that we looked at a while ago. I'm going to go take care of those, and then I think I'm also going to go ahead and remove these two large disc capacitors. They're not safety caps. As a result, they're rated at 1.4 kilovolts. I think I'm going to pull them and put in a couple of X1, Y2s there. I'm just going to do it. Okay, so I got 2 of the 3 changed. There's one there, there's another one's back in here. Here's the one that was standing up, and it's got, focus, yeah. This one here, which is the one that had the popped out end. You know, saying it's a 47 microfarad. Well, that's wrong. It was a 5. Just couldn't see it. However, let's check the ESR on these two. Test her out. Now these, maximum acceptable is probably about 6 ohms ESR on these. Let's see if you can see this. Get you set up where you can see it. Okay. So the maximum acceptable on this should be right around in here. Okay, so this is the one that I thought was a 47, but it was a 5. So let's see what this one is. So it's between 15 and 30 ohms. So that one's definitely bad. And then this other one that was standing up behind the front plate. You can barely see the needle move. It is just basically open. Now, I mentioned I had to change 3, but I took the third one out and found out it was okay. It was most of these have been mounted with the positive end facing up. See the ridge around here? But that one had been installed the other way around, and I didn't notice because it was so hard to see it back in there. So it had been mounted the other way with negative on the top, and so all I was doing was shorting it to the ground bus, and of course that was showing as a short. So I did take it out and then checked it, and it was fine. It actually had excellent ESR. I think it was like 0.75 or 1 or something like that. So I just put it back in. These other ones are kind of cheapy capacitors that I just had on hand. They'll be fine for this application. All right, I thought before I went in and changed these 2 power caps, filter caps, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this back in the case real quick, connect it to the case real quick, make sure the radio still works before I do a whole lot more work. That's just how I like to work. So I'll get it set up, show you what I got.
Expert, and then you showcase what you know, and then you can start earning money by answering questions. Now, there are other sites like this too. JustAnswer.com is not a sponsor, but
Okay, I think it sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and do those 2 power line filter caps.
Is this 56 today? But great drummer.
Okay,
Yeah, 56
this is playing really well. I've had it playing quite a bit last night, and I've got these are the two line filters that I took out and replaced them with X1Y2s right here. You can see them standing there. So I've had it playing all night, not all night, all when I was working last night and for hours today, as I just let it play and burn in. Last night, as some of you may know, I live north of and kind of a bit of ways out of Houston, but I was listening to WBBM, which is Chicago, in AM. So I feel like my alignment's sharp. I've got good reception. I'm really happy the way the thing sounds. So I'm going on to the next step. So I'm sure that the alignment is done just fine. I've got some yellow tape up in here. I'm working on getting the pointer aligned because the dial is inside the case, so I have to kind of get it in position, and I taped it on the line to make sure where it is. I'm going to make a little bit of adjustment, and then once I think I've got the needle where when this goes fully one direction, then this goes as far as I think it's supposed to go on the scale, and then I'll go in and fine tune its position on the scale within reason. I'm not going to go crazy. And then I got to work on the power cord. Before I get into that, you'll see up here, just saying, get this shut off. So I guess I can get the desoldering station out of the way. So one of the things I've done here is been working on dealing with some of the loose veneer I had on the front. So I'm getting this glued up. I had this glue put on a couple hours ago. It'll be done pretty soon. So I'll take the tape off and we'll see how we do with that. Done cleaning, clean the knobs. I got to reapply the face. You know, I've got a few cosmetic things I'm going to do that most people don't care to watch, so I'll get that taken care of. But I'll get the needle put on and so forth. But the only other thing technically I wanted to talk about was the power line. So when I first saw this power connection that's here, I thought, well, that looks like a safety interrupt to me. You know, you take the back panel off and it breaks the connection to this. Well, let's take a look at what we have there. So this is the back panel, and the other, this is obviously where the power cord goes. And as you can see, that's just a smooth opening. And if you flip it around, it's just got two screws here, screw holes, and that, I believe, is for accepting this directly. If not, then this would have to have some kind of bracket to hold it, okay, in here, in a position. So when you put this on and you take this cover off, this would hold it in position, and it would pull the cord off. Well, that's not the case. The way it is this is attached to the back of the cover. So I don't have the power cord that was originally with this, but I'm thinking it must have had some kind of, you know, plug like this, and it just, you were presented with a couple of pins sticking through, and you just shoved that on. Okay, you just shoved that on. It didn't have any, you know, you'd pull it off, but you didn't have to. You could leave that connected and pull the cover off, and you still have the power connected to it. So it's not a power interrupt, okay? And this doesn't have to be like this. This doesn't match the pin spacing of this. It's a different pin spacing. It's close, but it's not the same, I don't believe. It looks like it is, but I don't think it goes into the conductors. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I may just stick a cord through here and tie it onto here and put a knot. You know, I don't know. I'll figure out something. But it's not it does not strike me as being a safety interrupt. Okay, I want to deal with this, but first thing I'm going to do is get the alignment of the needle.
Well, hey there, fella. You got a bit of a spring in your step.
Okay, we're ready to do the alignment at the high end of the AM band. I think I've got before I move, you can see I get this set at 1600. So I've got the needle set, I believe, where it's going to need to be for matching up with the dial. I've got some tape on it for right now, but later when I'm sure everything's okay, I'll put a spot of glue on there and get the tape off. All right, so what I'm going to do now is go up to the top of the dial to get to 1600. Okay, turn the volume up. And we'll see the gang fully open right here. That's it right there. All right. So now what I do is I'm going to turn on the modulation. It's on. Got the antenna over here. Get a to hang up there. Come on. Come on. Okay. Alright, so now what I need to do is adjust. If we're doing 1600, I need to adjust A5, which is this one right here. So this should be the oscillator adjustment. Let's see if we can pick it up anywhere before I start moving things. Let's see, it should be on it there. Okay. Turn the signal down. Okay, that sounds good to me. Okay, now what we're going to do is go to 1400 kilohertz. I'm adjusting my frequency generator, okay, at 1400. Now attuned to the signal. Put the dial on here, makes it a little easier to turn.
của mình bị gián đoạn khi mà mình bị đổ bệnh.
Okay, get modulation on. Okay. There it is. So now just A6 and A7. That was way out. What's the ears are opening right up, aren't they? Alright, so now what we're going to do is go to 600 kilohertz, which is down at the bottom end of the dial. So I'm going to set the pattern. So I'm going up to my frequency generator and we're going to set it at 600 megahertz. Sorry, kilohertz. Okay, 600 kilohertz. Yeah, just so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm adjusting this now to be at 600. Alright, I think that's plenty close enough, huh? Alright, I guess so. Alright, turn the modulation on. Come back down to here. I've got a couple of marks on here where I marked it. So let's turn the volume up. Oops, let's turn it off. Turn the signal up so I find it. Must be harmonic.
Something like 19 to...
Real close. Real close to where I had it marked here. So you can't see. I have a couple of pencil marks here for 600 kilohertz and also 90 megahertz. So let's be right there. Let me back it up to here. And then for adjusting that, let's see, I need to adjust 8 and 9. Hang on a minute. It's those guys there. Bear with me a second. Trying to get the right tool here. Bear with me. Although I think it's close enough, to be honest. Okay. So just 8 and 9. So this is 8. That doesn't want to turn. Try 9. I think those are right on. I'm not going to mess with them. Okay, so then that is it for the AM needle alignment. All right, so now I'm going to go to doing the FM correction. So I'm going to get that set up. Okay, now I'm set up to adjust the FM band up at the top. So I've got the needle set where the tuning gang is all the way open, right there. I've got 108 megahertz on the frequency generator, and it is injecting through the antenna with a couple of resistors on each lead per the instructions. I'm picking up voltage on a test point, which is like a spike sticking up from the circuit board, and I'm measuring DC voltage here. And what I have to do is make adjustments and go for this to be the maximum deflection. So there's a bar that kind of runs along the bottom of this. Well, you can see that. That's really meant to be kind of representative of a needle that can move relatively quickly. It refreshes at a faster rate than the digitals do. So I'm going to be watching that and try to get the maximum deflection while I'm working on these. All right, so the items I need to adjust is, so I'm going to adjust these two screws that are on the top here, and then there's a hex down here and a slug that I'll be adjusting. Let's see if I got the right tool for that. Ready to go. Yep. Okay, good. All right, so I'm going to be adjusting and seeing what I get here. Adjust this one first. I'm not going to try to go for full maximum on each point. I'm just going to get it moving towards a maximum. So I don't try to get it all on one of them or the other. Okay, just going down. Sure came in strong suddenly, didn't it? It's switching between ranges now. Boy, it is really touchy. I think I'm going to call that close enough. Okay, then I go down to 90. Let me get that set up because I got to use a frequency counter to see where I am on the dial. But hold on. Okay, well I brought the dial down to 90 megahertz, and basically it's just coils again. I'm not going to risk breaking them. The set is working fine. So I'm going to get all the test gear off of this and just make sure it still works. Okay, we got the test gear out of the way. We're still on FM. I'm not in automatic frequency control.
I want to talk with you about this whole matter of hope and to take you on a journey through some of the passages in the Word of God that...
What happened with the efforts to contain the fires?
Yeah, so the day before the fire, we're starting to see forecasts from the National Weather Service.
Ya hablábamos de los Cleveland
carrying on and not using the Lincoln Park name.
I would say FM's working great. Let's just see how AM's looking.
Quando la Terra estava
We're doing a lot of work on tuning in the antenna on this.
Wasted 2 months of rent paying.
Fannie Willis, DA, Fulton County, Georgia, and say, wow, what an embarrassing failure.
Okay, I think this is all looking pretty good. I'm going to see about getting it back, do whatever I need to do to the case and see how we can get this finished up. Looking good. Sounding good.
Big Rock, the Eagle.
She keeps motion.
Okay, so I have gone on, moved on, got some things back into the cabinet. I painted the needle. It needed to be refreshed. It was kind of dull. I redid the cabinet. I think it looks really nice. I used scratch off. It's kind of like Old English, I guess, but I think it gives a, I don't know. Everybody's got their own opinion on that. I used some fill sticks for where I had scratches, and I think it turned out looking pretty good. We'll take a look at the front of it in just a minute. While we're looking here, I also went in and put a fuse in because we do have a transformer, and the system had no fuse at all in it. So I put in a fuse, and I'm happy to have done that. Now the bulb, see this power on? Yep. The bulb came in, it's a 159. I'll see if I can get you a peek in there. You see the bulb glowing in there. It's got a little light pipe looking thing that directs the light around the corner and across the dial. And that looks pretty cool. All right, then I'm going to be putting the bolting the cover back on, or screwing the cover back on. And it really improves the way it sounds, I promise you. And I'll get those screws in just a minute. And here's the front. And you can see the finish looks really nice, and everything looks really cool. I'm pleased with the way it looks. Anyway, I want to get those screws in the back, and we'll be just about ready to go out and find a place where we can listen to this without a bunch of interference. So hang on. Okay, I think we're just about done with this. You see how the finish turned out? Looks really, really good. It cleaned up really nice all around the side. Got the trim piece back on. Got all the knobs back on. You can see the needle now. And yeah, the cabinet looks really nice for its age. I found a plug that's kind of basically like a cheater cord, so it just kind of sticks in, and that works fine. One of the last things we had on our list was, is it complete? The only thing that was missing was the screws, the hardware that held it all together, because it was all in pieces. So the screws that went into the bottom of the cabinet to go into the chassis, the nylon bushings in the chassis, and then the screws that hold the back on, and the screws that hold this on. Other than that, it was complete. So that's the end of that. So I think it's time we go and find out how this thing will sound away from all of this electrical interference. So hang on, we'll go check it out. Okay guys, here we are back out at the park. We just had a snowy couple of days in southeast Texas. Some of the snow is still out there. I had to wait for some of it to kind of get off the roads before I could drive down to the park, because it's kind of out in a rural area, and they don't, nothing happens because there's not a lot of traffic on it. Anyway, so here we are, finally out with this 1968 Sylvania AM/FM table radio. Let's now that we finally got it out from the interference of the shop, let's see how it performs out here. Let me walk around the other way. It's a beautiful day out here. You can hear the snow crunching under my feet. All right. So we got this radio. My brother found it for me. I failed to tell you the details of what we paid for it. He sent me a text and said, "Would you be interested in this?" And I said, "Well, how much is it?" And he says, "It's $1." I said, "Okay, we'll take it for $1," but it was in pieces. We couldn't tell if it was all there or not. And then later on, he said, "Well, I got it for you, and by the way, the guy was having a sale, so actually we got this for 50 cents." At the time, I thought that it was probably missing something important, so I figured, well, at least I'll get some parts out of it, and it might be fun to look at and see if we can find out why it was, why it was in pieces. Was it have a problem that somebody tried to deal with and they gave up on it? So yeah, we got this thing down here and put the pieces back together again. I had shoved them all into the box by the time I started the video, but figured out where the wires went and plugged the thing in, and we got some noise out of it. We could see that that the fella had gone in. He told my brother he'd been working on radios. He had another, like a console radio that I just don't have room for. But he had been doing some work on these, and I really don't know anything other than it was just in pieces. We could see where he had changed out the main filter capacitor in the power supply, but other than that, I couldn't really see what else he had done. Later on, we found out he'd put that brown, whatever you want to call it, on the bottom of the circuit board. I don't know what that was supposed to achieve. It was a 5 microfarad capacitor, and he put like a 0.2 across it, so that's not really doing much. Maybe it was just all he had on hand. I don't know. But anyway, we put the thing back together again, and it really had some really poor performance. And on AM, on FM, I think it always seemed to perform very well. On AM, though, it just didn't receive well at all. And there was 2 issues with that. One of them was I was getting a lot of interference from some of the lights in my shop that hadn't ever shown up being a big issue before on any of the mini radios I've worked on. But then when we started doing the alignment on this, we found out that there was 2 peaks that were on either side of 455. And so I just simply redid the alignment, got the alignment back into shape. And then by the time I got around to adjusting the antenna and so forth on this, I think that really de-emphasized the amount of noise that we were getting in from the lights. It didn't seem to make much difference whether they were on or off after that. It was still getting plenty of interference. But the thing gets very good reception on AM as well as FM. And basically we just kind of put the thing back together again. I mean, the finish turned out really nice. I just used some Mohawk scratch cover on this, cleaned up the dial, put some more paint on the indicator because it was getting faded, and I think it looks really nice. So how about we see how this thing performs? I've got it on AM. I'm a long ways out of Houston, so picking up stations is kind of hit and miss. There's a hit.
Y dijo, Señor, hágase en mí según tu voluntad.
Me parece que fueron 5 horas más tarde.
One was a coward, and he was the chief of all of them, right? Now, and kind of a hothead who went off half-cocked.
And the civil rights movement was supported.
Released from D.C. jails recently.
I mean, there's stations in just about every position is coming in.
In the crosshairs of Donald Trump, cannot depend on.
Ask about catering. Halal menu available. Visit.
And his sons by her, and he was haunted by her.
It helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call.
Quality or something that saves you money, but if you can get both, why not?
So here I am, flying solo. I've got a great guy by the name of Derek helping me out. Now, Derek...
Fox Store.
Paid for by Bentland Products, LLC.
Siente que su vida está amarrada.
Some practice, and we managed it well, but didn't really take advantage of that.
You can really tell how getting away from the shop, without the interference thing here, this thing is hot.
Limited exceptions, like we went to the Kentucky Derby and baseball hats, or the Derby. I'm talking about generally you're getting dressed.
Real estate company, call O'Hare & Company Real Estate at 281-373.
Success after he serves. And
Orange Theory Fitness is an all-in-one strength and cardio work.
Okay, we'll go to FM. Now remember, with music, I got to move fast. I had a lot of problem with the Zenith video I did. I had to upload it several times. It was blocked in multiple countries. It was just a nightmare because every time I'd reload it, it would come back and say copyright. It's just, I just can't afford to keep playing on music.
Specific diseases,
and a chef. And he said that what we were referring to, I couldn't come up with the name.
The
Those were the
tone controls work great.
Rolls. Memories. Yes.
I don't know
So
how
now
well you
we
can
know.
tell that music playing.
Naciones alcanzar.
Segmento largo.
Jesus. Your phone looks quiet.
They never knew we were gone till the dawn. The
Okay, it receives really, really well. I could probably sit there and try to focus in on some of those, but if it runs for like 3 to 4 seconds of music, I get hit. Anyway, so we're going to call this one done on this one. Appreciate it. This is kind of an example, though, of, make a quick comment, I guess. I had some people ask about alignment on some of my other videos, and, you know, if you're not in there dealing with the IF transformers, you don't probably need to do an alignment. And you don't have to have fancy equipment, but you do have to have some reasonable amount. I'm by no means an equipment snob, but you need, if you're going to go in there and adjust them, you need to have some minimal amount of equipment on it. Now I have minimal equipment, and so I'll go in there and tweak it if I think it needs it. Like on this one, I didn't mess with the FM. It just was, I didn't think it was necessary. AM was essential because that was what was wrong with this one. But you know, if you're in there working on radio, putting it back together, changing, you know, most of the filter caps and maybe a few of the other paper capacitors, you know, like for example the main audio coupling cap, you know, you're probably not going to need to touch the alignment if it hasn't been messed with. And so I would kind of encourage you to just try to do it without it if you don't have the right gear. If you do get the right gear, you know, buy it used or something like that, then it can make it kind of interesting. But, you know, one of the things I'm thinking about doing, I had some questions about the visual method on FM alignment. One of the things I'm thinking about doing is maybe in one of my future, you know, AM FMs from like the early 50s or something like that, maybe I will do it per, you know, just the VTVM method with a AM generator, and then see how that comes out, and then compare it maybe back to what I would get with the visual method on a scope, and just to see how much difference it makes. I expect to hear some, but you know, maybe it's okay, and it'd be interesting maybe to compare. I might make that a subject of a video. Let me know if you think that'd be interesting to try. But anyway, I think we're pretty much done with this, and I appreciate you guys watching. Happy New Year once again, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.